Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. This channel is going to be dedicated to prepping and stockpiling and different topics along that nature. I am by no means an expert. I just am going to offer my own 2 cents. It's just another drop in the bucket, really, as far as I'm concerned. There's thousands of different channels out there and websites that have incredible information, and this is my own perspective. Um, for my own background and a little bit about me is I am from Canada. I'm from Saskatchewan. I live, if you don't know where that is, that's just directly north of Montana and North Dakota. So that's where I live. Um, my background, my ancestry is a little unique. My mother's side of the family is Native Canadian, or if you're down in the States, I guess you call us Native Americans or Indians, whatever. Up here they use terms like First Nations and whatever. Uh, Cree and Ojibwe. There is also Irish and Scottish, Norwegian, French, and my dad was German. So uh, there was a whole lot happening there, um, ancestry wise, but it's pretty cool. And my grandparents on my mom's side were really old school. My grandmother was the daughter of a chief and all that kind of stuff. And my grandfather fought in World War One and World War Two for this country, and wasn't treated so nice when he got back to Canada. Um, so yeah, they traveled around. My grandmother actually bought her own homestead by this little town that I moved away from, and they lived there for many years in a very simple lifestyle. No running water. There's no infrastructure, but they did get electricity. I think that would have been in the 60s. I think was when they finally got electricity. Um, but I mean, right up to the day they died, they had an outhouse and they had one of those old-fashioned wells with the hand pump, and you gotta pump the stupid wooden handle for like ever, and then eventually the water would go out of the well and stuff. Um, so that was actually pretty cool in some ways, and I learned a lot from them. My grandfather was the one that taught me how to snare a rabbit for the first time in my life. And my grandmother taught me how to skin it and prepare it and all that kind of stuff. And always be very thankful for that. And because they were medicine people, uh, they knew a lot about the different plants in the area and what was good for healing this and what was good for healing that. And my grandmother was also a midwife, and she delivered a lot of babies into this world. And that's one skill that I think is really important, and which is what I want to address, because in all the videos I've watched so far about prepping, I've heard people talk about, stockpiling guns and ammunition and knives, bullets and all that stuff, um, food, having maybe a first aid kit or maybe taking a first aid course. But I haven't heard anybody talking about being able to, or at least having some background knowledge on how to deliver a baby safely into this world without harming the baby or the mom in the process. And why do I think this is important? Well, it's a skill that is dying out. A lot of people don't know how to do it anymore. For instance, um, well, even with my grandparents, there was a time when my grandfather had gone off to war, my grandmother was pregnant. She delivered her one daughter alone and by herself. And that daughter did have a cord, the umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck. So while my grandmother is in pain, is in labor, having to deliver this baby alone and by herself, she also had to get that cord off my my aunt's neck and still deliver her baby and be in the mindset of not panicking, not freaking out. Otherwise, her daughter would have died. So I think those are skills that's really important. And my grandfather even delivered my mom. And I just think that as preppers, if you don't know that basic skill, you're really doing yourself a disservice because uh, what are you prepping for? I mean, really, humanity, animals in general, uh, all species want to see the next generation carry on and live on, right? We will put our lives down on the line in order to bring the next generation into this world and to ensure that they survive. And a lot of animal species do that. We are no different. Um, but if you're busy just thinking about, how to wrap a bandage on somebody's arm, or uh, how much bullets you can gather, and you don't take the time to even uh, learn about that one particular skill, you are doing yourself and your family a whole disservice. Because if, say, something happens, say, it hits the fan, civilization as we know it has collapsed. There is no power. There is no running water. There are no more hospitals or doctors or nurses. Okay, and say it's been like that for about 3 years. Say 3 years into that, your wife gets pregnant, or let's say you're a mom and your daughter is pregnant. Now you got to help your daughter or your wife deliver that baby. What are you going to do? Do you know what to do? Do you know how to safely remove the cord from the baby's neck while the baby's still inside your wife or your daughter without causing damage to the cord, to the baby, or to the delivering mother? Do you know how to do that? What to do if the baby is breached? You know, um, do you know what to do then? I mean, if there's no hospitals and there's no doctors, and if the baby's breached and you don't know what to do, well, odds are your wife's going to die, that baby's going to die. You're going to lose them both. And then what are you surviving for? Uh, like, we want to make sure the next generation gets to carry on. And if you can't do something that basic is to help to bring the life into this world and make sure it's okay, you're doing yourself and your family a huge disservice. And you can take all the first aid classes you want, but if you don't know how to do that one particular thing, I think you just, slap yourself upside the head, because that's just pure stupidity. Go research it now while you can, so that if that time ever does come and you're in that situation, you are prepared, you have an idea about what to do, and you'll know what's kind of normal, what's not normal, and how to handle the situation. If not, your wife can bleed to death, your baby can die, and what good is that, right? Or your daughter, whoever it is. And that's just one skill that I haven't heard anybody talk about. Nobody. And it's like, as a species, we want to make sure that next generation continues on. And if we can't be um, responsible enough to make sure we know how to, we can have fun making them, but if we can't, be responsible enough to deliver them into this world, then what are we trying to survive for, really? That's just my opinion. So go learn that. So that's my message of the day. Go go study up on that, go learn that, watch some videos, maybe talk to a midwife, maybe take some classes in midwifery, or whatever. It's up to you, but I think you're doing yourself and your family a disservice if you don't. And that goes for men and women. I don't care. My grandmother taught me that when I was 15 years old, how to deliver babies. Start them young, train them what to do and how to do, so that when the time does come, it's natural, it won't freak them out. They'll have the knowledge, and hopefully you can deliver a happy, healthy baby, and the mother will be okay, and that kind of thing. So, and the same goes for how to deal with and look after a female who may have miscarried a baby. You can't go to a hospital and get a D&C done. So how are you going to look after that female without modern day medicines or procedures, right? What are you going to do? So research all that, because I imagine that there will be babies that will continue to be born, but people have to know how to bring them into this world properly. So that's all I have to say.